Okay, hey guys, great to have you here once again. In the previous video, we talked about methods in Python, but today we are looking at something different. We are looking at docstring in Python. Okay, so we jump right to talk about what it stands for, what it means, and how we will go ahead to write basic code explanation so that you can easily grasp what we are saying. What is a docstring? Basically, it's more like a note you write to explain what a function or a piece of code does. It's different from comment, guys. This is not comment. I'm going to explain the difference. They have so many differences. It sits right at the beginning enclosed in triple quotes. It could either be single quote or double quote, so other people can understand your code. Or in the future, you the writer can swear, maybe you've written the code for some time, later you can come back to it. Your doc string will help you understand better what you have written. So I will explain much later, but before then, let's just give an example to drive home what you've said. So, like I said, a docstring is written immediately after the definition of a module, a function, a class, or a method. So I'll just define a function right here. So using the def keyword, I'll define a function, and the name of my function will be calculate square. Okay, calculate square. Then I'll just pass in one argument to my function, and that will be number. All right, so I believe you understand this. So what I want to do, I want to write a docstring. So to do that, I made mention you are going to input three quotes. It could either be single or double quotes. So in the first example here, I'm going to use a double quote, as you can see. So what I want to do right here, I'll just write some text. Calculates the square of a given number. Okay, so I'll leave that at that. Then I'll go ahead to explain further what I'm doing here. So by using the parameter attribute, so I'll just do this. Then I want to explain what my number, what type of number this is, or I want to input this an integer or a float. So it could be I want to enter an integer or a float, or if I enter an integer or a float, it's still going to work. So this is the number to be squared, just like that, the number to be squared. So then I'll go ahead to give a further explanation. I'll do return. So as you can see, I'm giving a detailed docstring, right? It's more detailed. So I'll go ahead to do, I'll do int or float. Int or float, then the square of the input number. Okay, so I'll just go ahead to do that. Then after this, I'll go ahead, I'll close my docstring with the same number of quotes. So since I started with a double quote, I'm just going to continue. I'll input that with a double quote as well. So I want to use the return keyword. I'll do return. Then I want to return what? I want to return my number, and I'm squaring it, so I'll just use the asterisk sign. Okay, so I want to calculate the square of this number. Please, you can also use the print. You can also use print function, but let's just use return here. So after that, then I'll go ahead to I'll call the function. Okay, so what's the name of my function? Calculate square. So I'm going to call that function and passing my argument. So what square do you want to calculate? Let's say 7. So I'm going to pass that as an argument to this function. So basically, as you can see from this first this double quote to the end, that is where the docstring is, right? That's where the docstring is. and it's more like a note that explained what our function is doing. So if I go ahead to run this code, I believe everything is in order, so I'll do shift enter. So as you can see, it's going to print out 49, which is rightly the square of 7. All right, so how do I get out my docstring, which I entered earlier? So to do that, I just want to go ahead and do let's say we want to use the print function, then the name of our function, which is calculate square. I just input that just like that. Okay, so calculate square, then I'll go ahead to do dots, and then just put in my docstring, or doc, right? Doc. So I'll close this off. So if I do shift enter again, all right, so it's going to display the more like the docstring which I typed here. So if you look at it closely, it's going to say calculate the square of a given number parameter. It's going to print that out. Yeah, it's going to print that out. Okay, so it seems if I want to display my number, I'll have to comment out that, and it's going to print 39. So I just want to show you that. So return, it's not going to allow us output both the square of this number, which we'll call by the function, as well as the docstring. So what we want to do, we want to use a print function here instead of the return. So we just do print. Okay, so print number, and use my asterisk. All right, so I'm squaring that. So if I do shift enter, guys, and I go ahead to remove this hash, which is this comment. All right, so it's good. As you can see, it's going to print out both the square of this number as well as my docstring. I believe you understand this. So it's going to print out both the square of my number as well as the docstring. So let's define another function, right? Let's define another function using the def keyword, def, and this time let's just say square. This will be shorter. Let's just say square, and the parameter I'll just pass n, just a single letter there. Then I'll have my docstring. This time I told you earlier that you can either use a double quote or a single quote. So let's try out the single quote since we have used double quote in the previous example. So I'll just do that, and I'll type takes in a number n, and return, and it's want to return the square of n, just like that. So I just close this. Please be consistent. If you use a single quote, you are well close with a single quote, so you put that. Then you want to, let's use the print function. Then we are going to use the n. Since we are looking for, we want to square this number as well, so we'll do n times or white card asterisk sign 2, since we are squaring it. Then to call this, we are going to do square, then we are going to pass the argument. So I'll just do square just like that, and I'll pass in what number do you want to square. Let's say 9. We want to look for the square of 9, so I'll close that off. Again, let's do shift enter. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I need to put, yeah. All right, so shift enter. Sorry guys, I'll have to indent this. Yeah. Oh, all right. Okay, so after that, I put that lately, so I needed to indent that second line of code. So after I do that and I do shift enter, okay, so it's going to, this is square, all right, shift enter. All right, it's going to print out 81, which is rightly the square of 9. It's going to print out 81. So how do I output my docstring? Just like we did earlier, you just go ahead to do print, go ahead to do print square dots underscore doc. So yeah, close that. So if I do shift enter, okay, it's going to print out the square of the number which I'm looking for, the square, as well as my doc string. So you can do that. You can see that 81 takes in a number n and return the square of n. So like I said, guys, there's a difference between docstring and comment. You start a comment with a hash. Like if I want to put a comment here now, just put my shift hash. So it's going to, so for comments are not interpreted. Okay, your computer does not interpret them. All right, unlike docstring. And when you're writing a docstring, you write it immediately after the definition of a module, function, class, or method. Okay, but for comments, it's just the code you don't want the computer to interpret or compile for other languages. I believe you understand that. And comments start with a hash. They are human readable but ignored by the computer. But docstrings, they are not ignored. So that's the difference, guys. As you can see, docstrings are well printed out. They are printed out. They are they are run by the computer and printed out. So I believe you can try it out. You can type out this code, or as well as others. This is just a simple example. You can, do complicated stuffs and understand. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.